Hello everyone, welcome back to Blackest Night. This week we are checking out a bunch of Blackest Night tie-ins. If you haven't watched part 1 of Blackest Night, I highly recommend going back and watching that before you watch this video. During that video I started a tally on how many hearts get ripped out in this series. I will be continuing that throughout the tie-ins because it happens in those as well. The cool thing about a lot of tie-ins to Blackest Night is that a lot of them are issues for series that ended a long time ago. They're referred to as resurrected tie-ins because the event is all about heroes being resurrected. Some of these old series were resurrected as well, which I just think is an awesome idea. It's one of the coolest tie-in ideas of all time. So let's just get straight into this. We got a lot of tie-ins to get through, starting with Starman issue 81, written by James Robinson, with art by Fernando Dagnino and Bill Sienkiewicz. The issue begins with a flashback to David Knight, the son of Ted Knight, the original Starman. He became the second Starman, but he wasn't Starman for very long because unfortunately he had an accident where he fell to his death. And I know this is supposed to be very serious, but looking at the panels, it is a little, like, dark humor of him standing on the edge and then just falling, and then he's just dead. Like, it's messed up, but the way that they framed it, it's like he mistimed his jump and just died. We then cut to the present where David Knight has been resurrected as a Black Lantern, because of course he has. The next day, a couple of cops are chilling out front of the Opal Museum, I think is what it is. It's where they keep all the memorabilia of all the heroes that have operated in Opal City. They mentioned that the only hero left in Opal City is somebody named Bobo, but then someone else is like, well, one of us just came back. And it's David's Black Lantern, who arrives, he rips out one of their hearts, and then attacks the other one and kills him off-panel. It's assumed he ripped out his heart as well. He then grabs his old staff and with his Black Lantern goo turns it into an awesome-looking axe. And then we cut to the apartment of Hope O'Dare, and she is the love interest of the Shade. The Shade has been a Starman villain for many years, but he's starting to turn over a new leaf. He doesn't really call himself a hero. They can't really think of a word to describe him. I'd say it's probably an anti-hero. But being with Hope has given him feelings, because originally they were just, having sex and that was it. But now he's starting to have feelings about her. The problem is, he is immortal, and she isn't. So she doesn't really want to be with him because she isn't getting any younger, and eventually she's going to grow old. He tries to reassure her and is like, you may age, but you'll never grow old. I don't really know what he means by that. Maybe she'll never be old to him. She then asks him if him falling in love with her is a sign of the apocalypse or something because the skies have gone black outside. We then cut to the commissioner of Opal City, who is on the phone talking about the fact that one of the Starmen has arrived, and that's when David shows up and rips his heart out, and then we see him going on a massive rampage, ripping out, I counted 8 hearts have been ripped out. There is a pile of bodies in this second panel, but I'm going to assume that they are the same people that I counted in this one. He goes to attack Hope's brother Mason and is about to rip his heart out, but Hope arrives, badass, just flips over holding a couple of guns, starts shooting at David. He goes to attack her, but then the Shade shows up, Richard. They call him Dickie, he doesn't like being called that. They get into a bit of a conversation about whether or not the Shade is a hero, and David also talks about how he wants to go and find his brother Jack and mess with him as well. Shade conjures up a massive bowl of darkness for everybody to go into so that they can get to safety. But David just rips his heart out. And at this point, you think that the Shade is dead. And a black ring tries to turn him into a Black Lantern, but it fails because he's not dead. The Shade is immortal, he's practically unkillable, and then the most epic thing happens. The Shade's heart attacks David, wrapping all these tendrils around him, and David is enveloped by the darkness. Because the Shade couldn't destroy the Black Lantern, so he just had to send him away to his dark dimension instead. He did it to keep everybody safe, and also to keep Jack safe as well, because he said that he would go and try and kill Jack. But of course, the person he feared it hurting most of all was Hope. He's like, but above all, I feared for you. What that thing said to me about me being ashamed of what we have, it was lying. Really? Murderous undead monsters lie? I had no idea. You wanted an answer earlier, so I'll say this. I don't not love you. Let me get my decoder ring. I think that's good. It's as good as it gets for now. One day at a time, okay? I can wait, Hope. For as you were so kind to remind me, I have the time. And that's where it ends. It ends with Hope and Shade declaring their love for one another and leaving the city happily ever after. The next tie-in that we're going to be talking about is The Power of Shazam, issue 48. Osiris Rises, written by Eric Wallace, with art by Don Kramer and Michael Babinski. I guess Jerry Ordway wasn't available to come back and write this issue. I'm not really a fan of Eric Wallace as a writer. I've read a couple of his things, so I'm not expecting anything good here, but I'll keep my opinions open. We'll see if it's actually good. Osiris is resurrected as a Black Lantern, and immediately I am conflicted on this issue because Eric Wallace does a great job writing a story about Amon being a Black Lantern, dealing with what's changed around him, dealing with some conflicting relationships that we'll get into a little bit later. The problem is that this issue, the problem I have is it conflicts with Blackest Night as a whole, how the black rings even work, because when you become a Black Lantern, it's not you. There is no soul. Nothing of that person is left inside. The only thing that's there is the memories. The black ring is in full control of your corpse. But this issue acts as if this is Amon. He is in full control. He has all of his memories. The ring is telling him to feast on people, but he's just able to ignore it. He has full control over everything. It doesn't matter how good of a person you were before this. You can't control yourself as a Black Lantern. Doesn't work that way. But anyway, Osiris wakes up as a Black Lantern. He sees that Kahndaq has been abandoned because of everything that happened during 52 and Countdown. Mary and Freddy see that Osiris is back, and this doesn't matter at all. They show up in this one page, and we never get back to this. There's no confrontation between them and Osiris. There's no confrontation between Osiris and any of the characters that really matter. Like, what this tie-in should have been is that it's Black Adam facing Black Lantern versions of Osiris and Isis. But Isis doesn't show up in this at all, and neither does Black Adam. I don't know why Isis wasn't resurrected as a Black Lantern as well. She should have been. The only reason Mary and Freddy are here is to give an explanation as to why Osiris has his powers, because he died without them, and they explain that Black Adam gave him powers so that he would have it in the afterlife. Eric Wallace didn't even need to come up with this explanation, because the way Black Lanterns work is that if you become a Black Lantern, you just are resurrected in your complete form with all your powers and everything. Like Aquaman, he lost his hand, but when he became a Black Lantern, he had both of his hands back, and his old costume. Famine, one of the Four Horsemen, is resurrected as a Black Lantern version of Sobek, the alligator friend that killed Osiris. Osiris visits the people of Karnak and realizes that Black Adam and Isis are both gone, and he sees a little girl and tries to be compassionate towards her, but everybody is afraid of him, because why wouldn't you? He looks like a zombie, because at this point, Osiris doesn't even realize he's dead. I guess because there's no mirrors around here. He gets the urge to attack people, but he fights against it. And then Sobek shows up and is like, "Hey, Osiris, my old buddy, how you doing?" Osiris at first is happy to see Sobek, but then the memories come back. He realizes that Sobek killed him and that he's actually dead and he's been resurrected. So he gets real angry and he punches Sobek in the face, and then Osiris and Sobek have a back and forth conversation where Sobek is pleading him to believe him that they are friends and that he was forced by the other horsemen to do what he did. But obviously he's not telling the truth. He's trying to trick Osiris. He attacks Osiris with a whole bunch of lightning. Sobek calls Osiris a monster and says that he's just like him. And Osiris is like, "No, I'm not a monster. I've always wanted to be a good person." And he punches Sobek and fights him. They just have a big fight against one another. Sobek kills a couple of scared people, ripping their hearts out. And Osiris sees him eating the hearts. And that is like the final straw for him. Osiris states that he's been given a second chance to prove himself, and Sobek is like, "You've been given a second chance, alright, to die!" And he grabs Osiris, he tries to rip out Osiris' heart, but Osiris calls Black Adam, hits them both with lightning, and he dies. Somehow, the lightning not only kills Sobek, but it kills Osiris. You could chalk up Osiris to being at peace, and that's why the ring has been severed. The way it works is once you've become a Black Lantern, you can't just be at peace all of a sudden. You can't be at peace. You are a Black Lantern until somebody destroys you, and the only way to destroy a Black Lantern is with multiple colors of lantern light. And yeah, him destroying Sobek with the lightning also makes no sense. And the Black Ring is still completely intact as well. Usually the ring dies with its host because it's a part of its host. Again, I'm very conflicted on this issue. I get what Eric Wallace was trying to do, and what he was trying to do was good. But it doesn't work with what's already been established within Blackest Night and the way that the Black Lanterns work. So I have to dock points for that. The next tie-in we are checking out is Question issue 37, written by Dennis O'Neil and Greg Rucka, with art by Denise Cohen, Bill Shenkovic, and John Staniski. This tie-in is awesome. It's probably my favorite one so far. Unlike the last tie-in, it keeps in line with how the Black Lanterns work and the lore behind them, and it does some interesting stuff with it. So let's get straight into it. It begins with Renee Montoya visiting Professor Rodor, who is a old colleague of Victor, the original Question. Rodor plans on summoning Victor as a Black Lantern because he's obsessed with figuring out the meaning behind life and death. So he grabs a couple of hairs expecting that the Black Lantern ring will find them, and he puts them in a little bowl. And that's when Lady Shiva shows up. She has a bit of a history with the Question as well, with Charlie. She killed him once, but then saved his life. And she's here to fight Renee. She just wants to beat the shit out of Renee Montoya, which is just really funny. She just shows up and is like, "Hey guys, I'm here to fight you." For no other reason than to just prove I'm really strong and that I'm stronger than you. So they go outside and they have a fight next to the ocean, just waves crashing, fighting each other. It's very much like a karate movie. Meanwhile, Rodor hears a noise coming from his petri dish and he sees the Black Lantern ring in there, and from the Black Lantern ring, a massive energy wave hits him, sends him flying into a wall, and Charlie appears from the Petri dish. He has been resurrected as a Black Lantern. The fight between Montoya and Shiva continues, and Shiva takes Montoya out and is about to stamp on her head. Almost like feels like she's going for the kill, and then Charlie shows up and gets in the way, and Shiva protects Montoya from him, and immediately they state that this is not actually Charlie. They do the right thing. They say this is a Black Lantern pretending to be him, how it should be. And we see through Charlie's eyes that he is noticing the emotions of these two characters as the Black Lanterns can, but they take note of this. Shiva and Montoya take note that the Black Lantern is able to see their emotions and keep track of them. They are prepared to fight Charlie. They try to take him down, but the professor tries to stop them because he wants to ask Charlie questions about life and death. And Shiva tries to fight Charlie further, and the professor shoots her in her arm, which is just messed up. It really goes to show how greedy he is, that he would rather learn about the meaning behind life and death than help protect the world from these things. Charlie senses the greed in the professor while Montoya asks Shiva how they are going to destroy it, and Shiva says, sometimes the solution to a situation like this is not destroying it. Like, we can't destroy it, we're gonna have to think of another way to take it out. Charlie offers the professor answers to his questions, but in return he wants the professor's heart, obviously, because he's a monster. But before he can take his heart, Shiva attacks him from behind and then rids herself of all of her emotions. And so Black Lantern Charlie loses sight of her and can't find her and leaves in frustration. It's so cool. Just figuring out that a way to trick a Black Lantern is to shut off all your emotions and then they can't see you, because that's how they see their targets. So Montoya takes Rodor inside and explains the situation to him, how they have to shut off their emotions, and that's when Charlie smashes his way in. She shuts off her emotions, and Charlie can't find Montoya, and then he turns to the professor, grabs him by the neck, slams him into a wall, and Rodor is like, Charlie, son, goodbye. And then he gets rid of all the emotions in his body, Charlie loses sight of him, and he leaves. And all is good. They're safe, but Montoya isn't done yet. She's gonna go out, she's gonna search for Charlie, and she's gonna take care of him once and for all. And that's where it ends. It's just a great tie-in. I love the whole thing with the emotions, shutting them off to hide from the Black Lanterns. It's such a great idea. And I'm expecting this will get resolved. This thing between Montoya and Charlie will be resolved in Blackest Night, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it gets resolved. And now we move on to Adventure Comics, issues 4 and 5, for a two-part story written by Jeff Johns and Sterling Gates, with art by Jerry Ordway and Bob Wachek. It begins with Superboy Prime, Clark Kent, making his return. He is in his basement reading the latest issue of Adventure Comics, issue 4, the one that we're currently reading. He sees the ending and he's like, no, there's no way it ends this way. No way. It can't end that way. And he throws it on his desk. Meanwhile, Alexander Luthor is resurrected. He receives a whole bunch of rings which seem to power him up, and then he teleports in search of somebody. Prime's parents have just arrived with the groceries, and he orders them to take them to Jet Comics right now. And while they're driving, Prime is looking at a photo of him and Laurie, and his dad asks him not to hurt him or his mother. He's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. You're my parents. What you did to Laurie? She didn't like me anymore. You still like me, don't you, Mom? I'm afraid of you. And the dad's like, no, don't. It's like, I am, Jerry. I'm afraid of my own son. They stop the car. It's like, oh, son, your mother didn't mean "Shut up, Dad. I love you, Mom." And then Prime leaves the car, and his mom is like, "Floor it. We gotta get out of here." It's like, "What? He'll find us, Naomi. Just like last time." So we see that they are really afraid of him, and he's kind of got him in a bit of a hostage situation, but there's this idea that maybe Superboy Prime actually really cares about them. You can see that there is potential for him to grow as a character. He enters Jet Comics and demands to see what happened in Adventure Comics 5, but number 4 just came out, so he has to wait. But he doesn't want to wait. So the owner of the comic store is like, "Hey, you like Superboy Prime as well? I think that guy's hilarious. If you really want to know what happens in Adventure Comics 5, there might be spoilers on the internet. Go check the computer over there." So he goes on the computer trying to figure out the ending to Adventure Comics 5 when Alexander Luthor shows up, and there's a guy there. There's a funny moment where he's like, "Whoa, sweet Black Lantern costume, dude." He just gets killed by Alexander. Superboy Prime turns around and realizes who it is. He's been reading Blackest Night, so he knows the whole shtick with the Black Lanterns. He knows that this isn't actually Alexander Luthor. Alexander checks out the computer and sees a lot of rage stuff about Superboy Prime, how many people on Earth hate him. Superboy Prime's like, "What did I ever do to them?" It's like, "You're getting angry. I like when you're angry. But your travels through the multiverse have left you in a weakened state. Your body cannot generate the same amount of rage as before. You need something to help you focus. But because I demand it." And he gives Superboy Prime all of his power back, transforming him back into his former self. Costume and all. Prime realizes that he might be the main hero of this story, and so he fights Alexander, trying to stop him. It's like, "You're nothing but a guy that people hate. An annoying guest star with no heart. But I know you have a heart, and I want it. I want that rage-filled heart. You hate them. They all hate you. Everyone hates you." It's like, "Not everyone." And then he's like, "Even your parents hate you." And he goes to attack his parents, and Clark saves them, and then fights him again. Like, "My parents love me. They do. Don't confuse obligations with love. You're a burden, Prime. An inside joke." He uses kryptonite against Clark. He uses heat vision against him, and then he resurrects all of these characters that Prime killed that are mostly characters from the series Bloodlines. "The people you've killed, everyone wants you dead. And spoiler alert, oh no, Superboy Prime dies next issue." "No, wait, Alex, it can't end now. What happens next? What happens?" And that's where it ends. On that cliffhanger. Prime finds himself in the skies of New York fighting against the Black Lanterns of the people that he has killed throughout the past. Eventually, he finds the DC offices themselves and smashes straight into them. We see cameos from a whole bunch of DC writers and executives like Dan DiDio. "You're the guy in charge of DC Comics, right? You only brought this on yourself. All of you did." And he smashes his desk, continues to fight the Black Lanterns throughout the entire office. We see all of these different cameos from lots of different writers and artists. Superboy Prime eventually confronts Eddie Berganza, who is a bit of an infamous person at DC for some stuff that he did that I'm not willing to go into right now, but he threatens to feed him his own tongue, which, you know, a guy like Eddie deserves. Definitely reads different at this point. But Alexander Luthor shows up with his Black Lanterns and stops Superboy Prime from doing anything to Eddie. And then he teleports them to Prime's basement, where all the Black Lanterns attack him. And Alexander is like, "Here's all your comic books. You love all these comic books. People love them, but you only really have them because of control. Like, you think you love them, but really, you just want control over everything. You hate what you can't control, including the things you love. Things like Laurie." He pulls out a photo of Laurie and Clark. He's like, "That's mine. Give it back." He starts destroying it. He's like, "You know what you did to Laurie when you lost control? You know what comes next. I'll kill you for that. I swear on all these morons' graves." And they all start attacking Prime. "Superboy, Clark, even you can't stop a Black Lantern." It's like, "Alright, if I can't stop you, then I'll become you and join you." And he puts the ring on And for some reason, when Prime puts on a Black Lantern ring, he only turns into a Black Lantern briefly, and then he turns into all of the different lanterns. He turns into a Green Lantern, a Blue Lantern, Orange, because the ring is trying to figure out what his emotion is. I don't know how the Black Lantern rings work anymore, but he manages to overpower it, and it turns him into a Red Lantern. As a Red Lantern, Prime gets real mad at Alexander Luthor. He's like, I never hated me. It was you I hated. You would never listen to me. All I wanted to be was somebody that mattered. I wanted to be heard. It's like, Laurie, I loved Laurie. He channels the power of the Star Sapphires, and then all of the Lantern powers come spewing out of the ring. The ring disappears, and Prime finds his photo. It wasn't fully destroyed, luckily. It's like, I was forced to hurt people, a puppet. I wasn't supposed to be like this. I was a hero once. Why can't I stop being this way? Don't I get to make my own decisions? I do hate myself. I hate what I've become. They turned me into the monster. They turned me into a villain. But I was Superboy. Why don't you give me a happy ending? And then the door above him opens up. Laurie comes running down with a broken arm. It's like, Clark! Laurie? Oh, Clark. Clark, it's okay now. But how, Laurie? How are you here? They heard you, Clark. They're sorry. They know what they did was wrong. They sent me to say that. To tell you that they're going to leave you alone. Everything's alright, Clark. I'm here. I'm right here. And it's revealed that this Laurie is a Black Lantern, but maybe she's not evil. I mean, it does say hope. So maybe there's hope for some of the Black Lanterns. Maybe some of them can be good? I guess we'll find out if this ever leads anywhere. But for now, Superboy Prime gets that happy ending that he wants. The next tie-ins we're checking out are Justice League of America issues 39 and 40, written by James Robinson with art by Mark Bagley and Rob Hunter. Francisco Ramon, also known as Vibe, is resurrected in this issue as a Black Lantern. He was a member of Justice League Detroit. This issue serves as a reunion for Justice League Detroit, as a lot of their members are dead. One of the only remaining members that is alive still is Gypsy, and she is currently with the Justice League America. They are exploring the Justice League headquarters. They have Dr. Light, who is with them. Not the evil Dr. Light, the good one. She lights up the place for them, but they know that the Black Lanterns are here. And one of them shows up. Zatanna's father, who is dead. And she knows that it's not him. He tries to tell her that he still has his soul, but she's like, there's no way you have your soul, because Lobo destroyed your soul. It's not even possible. So she stays behind to fight him with her magic. They have a big magic clash together while the rest go in search of the other Black Lanterns. He tries to use his memories of her to fool her, but she's not dumb. He also tries to take her heart, but before he can, she uses a spell to repel him, and then uses a spell to teleport the two of them away. Kimiko just suddenly abandons everybody, which is kind of crazy. They're just running through the darkness and she leaves. And she's kind of their only source of light. So now they gotta go wandering around the place with not much light to see. All they have is Vixen using her Firefly abilities to create a little bit of light. Eventually, they come face to face with Black Lantern Vibe, and he gets his reunion with Gypsy, and they all fight Vibe. But Vibe's pretty powerful. You know, a lot of people underestimate him. He rips apart Red Tornado's body, because Red Tornado attacks it with a whole bunch of wind, doesn't really do anything. Vibe just regenerates. And then he attacks Plastic Man and Red Tornado at the same time. He just digs his hand into Plastic Man's body and rips his heart out. You know, Plastic Man is a very hard character to kill, and his Vibe is taking his heart out, but he doesn't even want to eat it, because he's like, oh, it's made out of rubber. And that guy's a robot, so they have nothing for me. He turns his attention to Vixen and Gypsy, but then somebody else shows up, another old friend, Steel, who was also a member of the Justice League Detroit. He has returned as a Black Lantern as well. And then we see that the reason why Kimiko left everybody is because she sensed that Arthur Light is here. She mistakenly says Curry, like she's talking about Arthur Curry, but Arthur Curry is Aquaman. We know that she's not referring to him because she says that the villain's gone out. And she says that she has a feeling of who this is. So I think this is just a mistake that somebody made. But it is Arthur Light, Dr. Light. He is currently licking the salty head of Firestorm's dead girlfriend, which is messed up. Firestorm's girlfriend tastes salty. Good. Now! And he attacks Himiko with his dark abilities, I guess, because he's not Dr. Light anymore, he's Dr. Dark. Let's see what you taste like. The next issue is really, really hard to read. We got Vibe and Steel versus Vixen and Gypsy, where the entire time they are mocking them and just being awful to them, saying awful, horrendous stuff, but this isn't where this book gets the most horrendous. It gets to when we see the two Dr. Lights face each other. We all know what the original Dr. Light, Arthur Light, has been up to throughout DC history. He is an awful person, and this book doubles down on it and just makes him even more horrific. Just continues that trend. It's so bad. I hate having to read it. It sucks. Especially when it's done at the expense of a character like Kimiko. Because I like Kimiko, and I don't like her being reduced to an object for Dr. Light to fuck around with. Kimiko wakes up and already Dr. Light is trying to force himself onto her. It's disgusting, and she fights back against him, and they have a big fight, and throughout the fight, he's slowly, destroying her clothes. It's nasty. He just wants to do horrible things to her. I hate it so much. It's so bad. He's trying to make her the most depressed woman on the planet. Not only is he trying to do awful things to her, he's also trying to make her think awful things about herself, saying that she's an awful Japanese woman. He actually says that. He's like, yeah, you suck as a Japanese person. Your father hates you, your kids hate you, your husband hates you, and once I kill you, and have my way with you, I'm gonna go find your kids and come up with some games for them. So it's implying that maybe he's a pedo? Damn, we're really going there. We're really taking things really far with Dr. Light. You think it couldn't go any further? And then James Robinson is like, have a cup of tea. I'm gonna take things as far as I possibly can with this character. The mention of the kids is what really sets Kimiko off. She hits him with a whole ton of light, which also rips off the rest of her clothes. While this is going on, Gypsy and Vixen continue their fight with Steel and Vibe, not really making any progress. They can't defeat these guys. They are way too powerful. But Plastic Man is still alive, and he says, hey, stretch my lenses and bounce the light off of them. You might be able to hurt him. So they try doing that, and it doesn't do anything. They hit him with all this light, and they're just like, what, you think that was gonna phase us? And that is when Dr. Light shows up and destroys both of them with her light abilities, and the rings are sent away, because enough light can kill them. It just has to be really powerful light, and luckily, she's real powerful. And she's also naked, too, which is great. Lovely. Demeaning. Love it. And then Zatanna shows up. Seems like she's destroyed her father off-panel. Maybe we'll see that happen in Blackest Night. I don't know. Don't get to see it here. She says that she defeated him, but it's like, must I see my father die? It's like, it's okay, Zatanna. Shh. It's over. And Gypsy gives them both solace and looks after them. This is supposed to be serious, but I can't treat it seriously when we've literally got naked Kimiko on the ground. Did she really have to be naked for this? Come on. But we're done with that tie-in now. It's finally over. We can move on to the next one. Get me away from this. I'm done. Alright, Phantom Stranger, issue 42, written by Peter J. Tomasi, with art by Ardi and CF, and Vicente Cifuentes. I hope that I pronounced that right. This one's probably the weirdest tie-in I've covered so far. It gets pretty confusing towards the end. They often dock points for how confusing a narrative can be if it's to the point where it's not enjoyable to read. But we'll get into that. The story begins where we left off during Blackest Night issue 1, when the Spectre had been taken over by a Black Lantern. We get to see the aftermath of that. Phantom Stranger and the Blue Devil face him in combat. I like the back and forth between these characters, because Blue Devil is more the hard-hitting type who's trying to attack the Spectre and mocking him, saying all sorts of catchphrases and stuff, while the Phantom Stranger is trying to speak to the Spectre within and help him regain control of his body. He's kind of like his hype man. He's saying like, oh, the Spectre I know wouldn't let a stupid ring take control of him. Like, he's not a fraud or a wimp. He's really cool and badass. His words do start to get through to him, and the Spectre manages to get out of the body a little bit, but unfortunately the darkness of the Black Ring is too strong. It pulls him back in. The Black Lantern Spectre overpowers Phantom and Blue Devil, and then decides that he's gonna leave because he wants to find Hal Jordan, because he deems that Hal Jordan deserves vengeance, because apparently the Spectre still hasn't gotten over what he did, even though I've already gone through all of that in my Spectre Hal Jordan video that I made a while ago. So yeah, he leaves, and Phantom Stranger and Blue Devil continue their investigation to find Boston Brand, aka Deadman, who we last saw become a Black Lantern, but not in the conventional way. See, what's happened is, Boston Brand is already a ghost, but he does have a dead body that is in a grave. And what happened is his dead body has become a Black Lantern, while Boston is in his spirit form, and he's trying to regain control of his body, but his body won't let him back in. And Phantom Stranger and Blue Devil use a couple of things that mean a lot to Deadman so that they can track him down. When they go to find him, they find him at Nanda Parbat, which is where the League of Assassins often are. This isn't the League of Assassins base. This is a temple that's in Nanda Parbat. And they find Boston there with a whole bunch of Black Lanterns. He's in a spirit form, and he's taking control of all of these Black Lanterns' bodies because he has the ability to possess people. And the reason he's doing this is so that he can learn information about the Black Lanterns and maybe figure out a way to get back into his own body. Unfortunately, when he possesses one of the Black Lanterns, he starts to lose control, and Phantom Stranger has to talk to him and make him realize that he's Deadman. And it actually takes trying to eat Phantom Stranger's heart for Deadman to realize who he really is. So he's freed of the Black Lantern's influence. He explains what's going on with his body and how it's been turned into a Black Lantern. And with the Phantom Stranger's help, Deadman is convinced to try and repossess his own Black Lantern body, which he does. Phantom Stranger wraps him up in his cloak, and Deadman is able to exorcise the Black Ring from his body. Deadman then hands his body over to the guys at the Nanda Parbat Temple, and they decide to guard it so that nobody else can come after his body. No more Black Rings will try and get it. As I said, pretty confusing. I tried my best to explain what was going on. I hope it was somewhat understandable. I had to read some of this stuff a few times over just to make sure I understood what was going on. But that's kind of where it ends. It ends with him guarding Deadman's body. Phantom Stranger heads off to continue being the Phantom Stranger. Maybe we'll see him show up in another tie-in or in Blackest Night. I don't know. I'm sure we'll see the Spectre again. Alright, Suicide Squad, issue 67, written by Gail Simone and John Ostrander, with art by Jay Calafiore. This issue just serves as build-up for the Secret Six tie-ins to Blackest Night. Blackest Night itself doesn't play much of a role in this. The Fiddler, Isaac Bowen, is resurrected as a Black Lantern, and at the end of the book, a whole bunch of other characters are resurrected as Black Lanterns. But the stuff that happens in this book that is important to the next two issues are that the Secret Six, who are a team led by Mockingbird, are sent on a mission to a prison, and when they get there, they are attacked by the Suicide Squad, who are trying to get Deadshot. Catman and Bronze Tiger face one another. We'll see how their fight goes in the next issue. And Rick Flag confronts Deadshot and is shot by Deadshot. But as he leaves, he gets attacked by a woman known as Yasmin, and he just shoots her and kills her, I guess. But then he gets attacked from behind by Rick Flag. He's like, hey, you gotta check if you've successfully killed someone before you just leave. And that's really everything that important that happens in this. Secret Six, issue 17, begins with that Yasmin woman that was killed by a Deadshot becoming a Black Lantern. She gets taken over by a Black Lantern ring. Meanwhile, at the House of Secrets, which is the base of the Secret Six, Waller has the place surrounded with an army of Multiplex clones. Multiplex is an enemy of Firestorm who can multiply himself. They are demanding that the character Scandal Savage come out of the house, but she refuses, and so Waller decides to set the entire place on fire. Luckily, Scandal is able to get out of the House of Secrets using a giant gargoyle, because there's all sorts of artifacts and things in this house. So they use this gargoyle, eat up a couple of Multiplex clones. Meanwhile, back at the prison, the Suicide Squad continues to fight the Secret Six, with Bane fighting Nightshade. Nightshade is able to get the upper hand over Bane thanks to Count Vertigo, who uses his powers to mess with Bane's mind, but they are then attacked by a character known as Black Alice, who uses her powers of shadows against them, and then Black Alice and Bane are like, oh yeah, we're all good, like everything's fine now, except everybody else inside the prison is in a bit of a situation right now. Because the prison guards are all being attacked by Black Lanterns. The ones that we saw at the end of the last issue have all arrived. They're all killing, ripping out these hearts of these guards. And then after that, they break the prisoners out and then kill them as well. The prisoners are like cheering, and I'm like, yeah, free us! And then they die. Catman and Bronze Tiger continue their fight, where Catman bites Bronze Tiger in the jugular. And he's like, you're gonna run out of blood soon, you're gonna pass out. And Bronze Tiger just keeps fighting him because he's a beast. They continue to fight each other. It's pretty nasty, pretty bloody. You know, smacking Catman in the chin. You know, kneeing him in the gut. Catman slicing him in the face. Tiger does defeat Catman, but he bleeds out and passes out. So it kind of ends at a draw. Maybe they'll get a rematch sometime. Ragdoll and a character known as Jeanette fight the new Fiddler together, but then the original Fiddler, the Black Lantern version, shows up, and the new Fiddler is like, hey, I looked up to you, I named myself after you. And the old Fiddler is like, hold her still so I can kill the new Fiddler, rip her heart out. And Ragdoll's like, oh, if you're gonna kill her, can you let me kill her? I'd love to kill her. But Jeanette is like, stop playing around. She uses her Banshee abilities to attack Black Lantern Fiddler, but then he uses their magic against them, causing their eyeballs and ears and nose to bleed. It's pretty messed up. Meanwhile, Rick Flag is dragging Deadshot's body away when he comes face to face with Yasmin's Black Lantern. They shoot at each other for a bit, and then Yasmin has a bit of a chat with Deadshot. Deadshot tries to shoot at her. He shoots like half her face off. It doesn't do anything. She's Black Lantern. And then Rick's like, "What? Move!" Attacks her in the legs. And then the two of them run away together. And that's when a character known as King Faraday gets in contact with Waller and says the situation has gotten pretty bad. because all the Black Lanterns have arrived, and we see that Black Alice and Bane are surrounded by Black Lanterns. And they're just like, run! Run like hell! Secret 6, issue 18, begins with Bane, Nightshade, and Black Alice all fighting Black Lanterns together. We then cut to Rick Flag and Deadshot, who shoot Black Lantern Fiddler to save Ragdoll and Jeanette. But obviously that hasn't put those Black Lanterns down. They manage to get away, and they come across the bodies of Catman and Bronze Tiger, who are barely alive, and while they're spitting arguments back and forth between each other, they take Bronze Tiger away to get him some help. Waller continues her conversation with Faraday about this Black Lantern situation, but then Scandal Savage shows up, cuts the heads off of these two multiplex clones, and is like, hey, it looks like we got an enemy in common. Let's have a chat, Waller. Rick Flag and Deadshot's group meet up with Bane, Nightshade, and Black Alice, and they all start fighting Black Lanterns together. But the Black Lanterns do get a little bit of an upper hand when Fiddler and Yasmin show up. So they all continue fighting again. Bane is fighting one of the Black Lanterns hand to hand, but he needs Black Alice's help, and so she uses Nightshade's powers. She steals Nightshade's powers and uses them against this Black Lantern so that they're able to get away. Because Bane's like, if you don't help me right now, I'm gonna probably do some awful things to you. Like, I'm probably gonna beat the shit out of you. The Black Lanterns get up again and continue to pursue their prey. Because that's kind of been the cycle. You know, the Secret Six and the Suicide Squad fighting the Black Lanterns, getting away, the Black Lanterns chase after them, they fight them again, they get away over and over again, and it happens again. They get to the House of Secrets, where they come face to face with Amanda, and then the Black Lanterns show up. And so they're like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to team up together and fight these Black Lanterns. We get this cool shot of the Black Lanterns on one side, Secret Six and the Suicide Squad on the other side. Amanda wants Nightshade to take her back to Belle Reve, and Nightshade is like, I can't, because that Black Alice girl took my powers. And so Amanda is like, you give her back her powers. And Black Alice is like, I can't, because I need them in order to live. And Amanda just punches her in the face, this kid, knocks her out. And after she knocks her out, Nightshade gets her powers back. It's a pretty brutal moment for Amanda, really showing what kind of character she has. They go back to Belle Reve, and it turns out that they have a Manhunter there, one of the robot Manhunters. And Amanda Waller puts on this helmet that'll let her control it. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, is Amanda gonna fight these Black Lanterns while controlling the robot? Like, is she gonna have the robot fighting them? Because that would be fucking awesome. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens at all. We return back to the House of Secrets, and that's where Amanda shows up with the Manhunter, and all she does is she throws some flash grenades to cause a big bang, big flashing light, and then she makes the robot self-destruct. Like, it was really disappointing. I was like, oh man, like, this is so underwhelming compared to what I thought was going to happen, where it was going to be Manhunter fighting Black Lanterns. No, it just self-destructs, and the energy from the Manhunter and the flash grenades destroys the Black Lanterns. It severs their ties to the Black Rings. After this, Amanda tries to force Deadshot to come back with them, because he belongs with the Suicide Squad, and Deadshot shoots Amanda in the chest, and is like, no, I'm not coming with you. I didn't kill you with that shot. The bullet is specifically right next to your heart. I did that on purpose, so that it would be harder for them to operate on you. If you come anywhere near this place, or anywhere near any of my teammates, I will shoot you in the head, Amanda, and I will kill you. And it's same with you, Rick, and anybody else. And Rick's like, well, we'll see. And Deadshot's like, yeah, I guess we will. It's a pretty badass moment for him as well. We then see Amanda in the hospital, where she's all good now, and King Faraday reveals that she is Mockingbird. It's like, you are Mockingbird, and you tried to take out your own six. Like, what was that about? Like, only on a need-to-know basis, King. Same as you. So that's a bit of a needle drop right there. Really goes to show that you never know what Amanda Waller is thinking or planning. But we're probably not going to see the end of this because I'm not reading Secret 6. Maybe I'll read it sometime in the future, but for now, we're moving on to the next tie-in. The next tie-in we're going to be looking at is Catwoman issue 83, written by Tony Bedard with art by Fabrizio Fiorentino, Ibrahim Roberson, and Marcos Mars. I've looked at a Catwoman tie-in previously for Amazon Attack, and it was not good. It had barely anything to do with that event. Let's hope that this one is a step up from that. The bar's already pretty low. This tie-in focuses on the resurrection of Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. The way he died was, he was a longtime enemy of Catwoman, and at one point he kidnapped Selina Kyle's sister and her husband, and then he tortured her husband to death. They just dismembered him, and then fed her his eyeballs, which is messed up. And then to get revenge, Selina shot him and killed him. Shot him in the back of the head and killed him. And her sister was sent away to a psychiatric ward, because of course she was. How do you deal with that? The story begins, as I'm assuming most Catwoman stories begin, with Catwoman stealing something, stealing a necklace, and as she's trying to leave, she is grabbed by Black Lantern, Black Mask. The two of them fight each other. There's a cool moment where Catwoman wraps her whip around his tongue and rips the bottom half of his jaw off. And then it just grows back because he's a Black Lantern. This might be one of the goriest things that has happened. Luckily, I don't have to censor it because it's already pretty censored. He wants to rip out her heart and make her a Black Lantern, as do the other Black Lanterns, but then he decides that instead he is going to go after her sister, because he just remembered her. And the funny thing about Black Lantern Black Mask is that with most of the Black Lanterns, even the villains, you can tell that it's not the real person, because the Black Lantern version tends to be a lot more sinister and sadistic. But because Black Mask was already so sinister and sadistic, when he becomes a Black Lantern, he acts pretty much the same as he did before. The only difference is he talks about the Black Lantern Corps. But it is assumed that the Ring is in control. He just doesn't have to pretend to be Black Mask. He can just be himself and act like Black Mask. Selina needs help saving Maggie, so she calls Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn to help her. They jump into Selina's car and drive off to the psychiatric ward. Meanwhile, at the ward, a couple of the people there decide to take Maggie to safety because of the chaos that is going on outside with the Black Lanterns. And as they are doing so, they hear a voice, and Maggie knows who it is. And so she breaks out of their hold and runs off, while Black Mask is outside smashing the side of the building trying to get in. But that's when Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy show up to fight him, while Selina heads into the psychiatric ward, where she finds Maggie and is like, "It's okay, I'm here." And Maggie's like, "But it's your fault that happened to me, that everything happened to me. Because if you hadn't become Catwoman, Black Mask wouldn't have targeted me and my husband." Ivy and Harley's fight with Black Mask ends pretty quickly when he just drops a wall on top of them, crushing them. And then he confronts Selina and Maggie, dropping Harley's mallet in front of them, saying that he's killed them. Obviously he hasn't, it's not a spoiler, there's no way that Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn would be killed off like this. He captures the two of them and is prepared to torture the both of them like he did before, but then Harley and Ivy show up again. Ivy creates a giant plant which grabs Black Mask, he gets eaten by the plant, and because he's a Black Lantern and he can't be killed without using light, he's just gonna stay inside this plant, dissolving over and over again, and won't be able to get out. And then they're just gonna drop the plant in Slaughter Swamp and leave him there. And then Harley, Selina, and Ivy just decide to run off, I guess, because they need to fight more Black Lanterns or do something together. I don't know if this gets answered in a later tie-in or in Blackest Night itself. That's just what I'm assuming. And that's where the tie-in ends. Not bad, definitely better than the last Catwoman tie-in. I probably would have enjoyed this more if I cared more about Catwoman and her relationship with her sister. I just don't read Catwoman, but, like, it wasn't bad. No, at least it did some interesting stuff with the Black Lantern Black Mask. And the final tie-in that we're going to be talking about this week is Weird Western Tales issue 71, written by Dan DiDio, the editor-in-chief of DC. This is the first comic I'm reading written by this guy, and with art by Renato Arlem. Now, because the Weird Western Tales comics back in the day took place in the Wild West, and Blackest Night is happening in the present day, that means that this book has to happen in the present day as well, which, you know, you kind of lose a bit of that whimsiness of how cool it would have been to see Black Lanterns somehow end up in Western times. We are introduced to Joshua Turnbull, the great-great-grandson of a character known as Quentin Turnbull, who is from those old comics and is one of the longtime enemies of Jonah Hex, one of the famous cowboy DC characters from that era. He's swearing vengeance on his great-grandfather's grave and is led to a ghost town called Illumination, where he meets up with a woman there named Alicia, who he has been working with lately. The two of them head into a secret facility that has been built into this ghost town, where they meet up with Simon Stagg, a DC businessman, and he is accompanied by a bunch of characters. The only one worth noting is the Ray. Stagg managed to get his hands on a black ring. It's supposed to be the black ring that tried to possess Don Hall but couldn't. Apparently it just rested on his grave, even though during those panels it looked like the ring couldn't even get anywhere near his grave. But whatever, it needed to rest there for this story to make sense. They're trying to figure out the truth behind the black ring, how to take advantage of it. I don't know what they want to use it for, because Stagg is like, oh, it can bring people back to life, but maybe it has other potentials. It's like, what kind of potentials? What else could it possibly do other than that? That's kind of the whole gimmick. The black ring starts going haywire, and then a nearby wall busts open, and a whole bunch of Black Lanterns come in, and all these old DC Western characters that have become Black Lanterns, like Super Chief, and the Scalp Hunter, and Batlash. So the Ray fights against them because he's got light powers, so he's actually able to hurt the Black Lanterns and destroy a lot of them. But the Black Lanterns manage to kill quite a few people. They don't rip out any hearts yet. I was looking to see if any get ripped out, but no, none. Ray continues attacking him with his light powers. Joshua asks this guy Jensen to grab the black ring for him, and when he does, he's like, I got the ring for you, my man. And then he just gets his heart ripped out by a Black Lantern, and Joshua doesn't seem to care at all. He just leaves. He's such an asshole in this. He leaves with Alicia. He gets saved by the Ray as well, and he doesn't even thank him. The Ray is possibly sacrificing himself right now, and Joshua just leaves. Like, the Ray's just like, Beg, I don't think so. I've only got one thing to say. Burn! And he just shoots a whole bunch of light. We don't see him die, so I'm going to assume he's not dead. He doesn't show up for the rest of the issue, but I'm assuming he survived. Alicia and Joshua get away, and then Joshua just sacrifices her to a Black Lantern version of Batlash, because he's an asshole. He just leaves with the black ring, locks her in the room with this guy, and then she gets her heart ripped out off panel. It's messed up. At this point, things are looking pretty bleak, especially because we're left with this one guy that I don't even want to root for. You know, Joshua finds a bazooka lying on the ground. He's still got the black ring with him, and that's when he comes face to face with Jonah Hex, who doesn't even show up in this book until the very end. The one character that you expect, the one Black Lantern you expect to play a big role in this, and he doesn't even show up until the last few pages. But he shows up, And Joshua's like, you ruined my family, you've done all sorts of terrible things to my family, so today is the day where I'm gonna kill you. And he shoots his bazooka at Jonah Hex. And Joshua is stupid, he thinks that a bazooka is enough to kill a Black Lantern. Obviously, it doesn't. Jonah survives the explosion, he shoots at Joshua, hitting him in the leg, and so now Joshua can't walk properly. And that's when his father, Quentin, as a Black Lantern, approaches him, and Joshua assumes that the Black Lantern version of his father is just on his side. He's like, hey father, this is the guy that ruined our lives, so let's make him pay. And then Quentin just shoots his own great-grandson and kills him. And then they take the Black Lantern ring and they leave. And that's how it ends. Just on that bleak note. And I don't even really care about Joshua's death because he was an asshole. But the characters like Alicia, it just sucks that they died. And that this ending is just like, the Black Lanterns won, I guess. This is the first tie-in that has ended on a bad ending. And it sucks that this is where we are ending the video, is on a bad ending. But I guess it tracks with the Dio, because he's always had a habit of wanting to do really dark storylines where he kills off characters and stuff, so it's not surprising that his tie-in has a bad ending. But that's it for this week. We're done with these tie-ins. Next week, I'm going to be covering some of the Black Lantern miniseries. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed most of these tie-ins. I think the question one was probably my favorite one out of all of them, and my least favorite one was probably the Suicide Squad one, just because it didn't really have anything to do with Black Lanterns. But I'll see you next week. Have a good one.